Love you guys. Fuck the Jews. We'll catch you guys Tuesday.
Love the Jews. Love the Jews. Peace.
A few months ago, I made a video talking about Fresh and Fit podcast downfall. Those two guys went from having the biggest male podcast on the internet to getting banned from platforms like YouTube, which, if you didn't know, was most likely their biggest source of income online. And instead of self-reflecting, understanding that being racist or saying certain things will make you brand risk, which will inevitably result in you getting ejected from those platforms, their egos made them believe that they could survive on other websites or platforms like Rumble, or make their fans pay $35 a month on Castle Club to see their best content. And by that I mean the videos where they bring OF women and insult them. And if you pay to see that, I know your bloodline ends with you. But despite catching L's with like the fake Yacht Party or getting temporarily banned on Twitch, those two were always together. They always had a similar vision. They would pretty much advocate for the same ideas. But as of right now, things are drastically different. One is just a horny guy who just wants to bang hookers. The other one would put back in place the triangular trade just to see a KKK member whip his mom. They built their entire podcast around this toxic echo chamber. They isolated themselves and their fans in this echo chamber. But now people are realizing that they are not following what they've been saying all along, and the two captains of this sinking ship are falling apart. And this is why, guys, I think that 2025 will be the year where we will see the Fresh and Fit podcast. And now I will show you a clip of a fan that literally calls Fresh a useless cone that leeches off Myron. And just keep in mind that a few years ago you would have never heard that.
Yep. What's up, bro?
Yo, what's going on, man? I wanted to ask Fresh a question.
Okay.
Yeah, Fresh, I wanted to know, right, as a man, how does it feel to know that the only reason you're successful is based on the talent of Myron?
How's it feel?
Yeah, how does it feel to know that if it wasn't because you met Myron, you would still be working at Chick-fil-A or whatever it is you used to do?
What was my last job?
Your last job? I don't know, man. One time I heard you say something about Chick-fil-A, but I don't know, something that wasn't as successful as what you're doing now. That's what it was. How does it feel to know that if Myron was to like just not be cool with you no more or fell out with you or something like that, you would be done? Like you wouldn't be able to make money anymore, you wouldn't be able to sustain your lifestyle anymore, because the money you make now is 100% based on the intelligence and the talent of Myron Gaines, not yours.
What's the show called?
It's called Fresh and Fit.
Okay.
Before, guys, I just want to say that a few months ago, Myron would have died on that table protecting Fresh. He would have destroyed everything on this set defending Froggy. But now they're not on the same board anymore. That's why I said a few years ago, you could never imagine a fan calling and say that Fresh is basically useless. But now that people see through their illusions, they understand that this man is just a big fraud. And he literally proves it here. You have a fan who calls you and is literally questioning your entire existence on this podcast, that without another man you would be putting the fries in the bag right now. He's literally calling you a bitch. You see those women that you bring on your podcast, he's saying you're just like them. You need another man to sustain for your lifestyle. And even if you're tired of hearing the haters say that or blah blah blah, from a business standpoint, you still need to reassure your customers, your client, because right now they are doubting what you're selling. That's why if you go on their channel, you will see a huge decline in views. They have 1.57 million subscribers, but they barely reach 100,000 views on their videos. People are becoming aware that you do not follow what you are preaching. People are becoming aware that you are frauds, that you'll tell them not to go for those OF demons, but next thing you know, Fresh got a hooker pregnant. And having fights with those girls on your podcast isn't going to make it more interesting. He might be paying $35 for that Castle Club subscription, and the last thing you want to see is people canceling their subscription, because why would they keep receiving advice from a bum? But because this man thinks he's like this 200 IQ anime character, he's trying to play this stupid mind game like, oh, what was my last job? What's the name of the podcast? Just answer the damn question. And guys, with their image crumbling, with the host that has less brain activity than a chair, do you really think that their podcast will survive 2025? And Myron might say Fresh is the specialist when it comes down to social interactions.
That's really what it is. You know, obviously if you want like networking and, you know, more social stuff and being able to build connections with people offline, you know, that's Fresh's specialty, you know, using Instagram for pulling chicks.
Stop the cap.
But even a deaf person would know that you're lying. But the real reason I wanted to show you this video is because the fan called and brought the fact that recently Fresh has been kind of dissing Myron implicitly on Twitter and the people that he supports. This kind of disagreement on this kind of podcast will most likely lead to the end of Fresh and Fit. I do agree that when hosts on a podcast have different point of views, it makes it more interesting. It adds layers to the show. But there is no reality, no world where someone is going to tell me that Fresh and Fit podcast isn't an echo chamber.
An echo chamber.
We're not an echo chamber, you know?
That those two didn't write each other like they were in a relationship. I'm telling you, I called Doctor Strange and he told me he couldn't find a single reality coming close to that. Being racist towards Abba and Preach, always blaming the Jews, the Matrix, those guys were in it. I've never seen them propose a different point of view or opinion. If one said left, the other would say left. And that's why the fans said that, because y'all used to see Fresh me writing Myron on a daily basis, not him disagreeing. But now I think that Fresh understands that his co-host might need that white jacket with the straps on. I'm pretty sure when Fresh hopped on the podcast, he just saw that as a way to make money and get coochie, the two things he needed the most in life. But I'm pretty sure that at no moment he saw himself becoming the bitch of a neo-Nazi party. They had passed a certain threshold with their antics on that podcast, but even him realized that what Myron is doing, what Myron is saying, will lead them to a point of no return. And that's not what he wants. His dream just to book a hotel room in Vegas, bring some hookers, and never leave this room. That's what this simple man wants. But Myron is just lost in the sauce. To create Uncle Ruckus, they took inspiration from Myron.
Oh no, this can't be. It says I'm 102% African with a 2% margin of error. Why, Lord? Why, Lord? Why?
But if you see the things that he tweets or says on his podcast, you would think that this man is on fent.
I know a lot of you low IQ individuals might not understand what free speech absolutist means, but that means if someone says I'm a white supremacist or I hate whatever, I defend their ability to say it, even though I might not necessarily agree with it. I defend someone's ability to burn the American flag despite the fact that I put my life on the line for that fucking flag, because that's what the First Amendment is. I find it interesting how black people can sit there and say black power, but why is it that if a white person says white power, we need to go ahead and protect the white race, and we need to be able to have white people marry other white people and keep the race pure? Why is that labeled a pejorative racist term every single? To protect freedom of speech, that means we need to protect all speech, even the speech that you don't agree with or you don't like. All right? So that is where I align with the white supremacists, and I fight for their right to be able to say what they want to say, despite the fact that I don't necessarily agree with it. Fucking are getting out of control.
Everyone can have their own opinion, just like I'm allowed to disagree with them and debate. But honestly, I just can't understand why Myron would push himself against that kind of wall for money, because his ego won't allow him to see his mistakes. And if I follow your logic, does it mean that a pedophile is allowed to express his interest in younger people? I'm sorry, but yes, we can all have opinions, but not all opinions should be voiced. You cannot give too much freedom to the human being, otherwise it will lead to chaos. And I can understand that you're pissed against the black culture that we see on social media, outside, whatever. I don't necessarily like it either. There are some things that do not please me, but if you actually had a point, you would understand that it's not black or white, it's gray. There are some problems, like there are some good things, but this man is talking to impress people that would literally lynch him in a flash. And we've seen that when he was on that Twitter space and got disrespected by a white supremacist.
Look, man, I know you're trying to get a clippable moment here for your fucking...
No, it's the truth, man. This is the issue with whites working with non-whites.
We're over here talking about a problem, then you bring it right back into, you know, this whole white thing. Like, dude, shut the
This whole white thing is what built this country, Myron.
Shut the up, dude.
Hey, you fucking sand.
You might say that you're defending them because you're a free speech advocate, despite being the guy that will copyright anyone that is against him. We can clearly see that you are only doing that because you are desperate to find a new community where you'll be able to thrive in. That's why you defended Nick Fuentes after he assaulted someone that knocked on his door.
She came right up to his front door.
But what did she do? Forcefully. Because imagine this, right? So someone walks up to you, they didn't do nothing, you hit them. Who's in trouble? You, right?
Well, she did make a threat right before on YouTube saying, not on YouTube, on Facebook saying like, I'm going to go confront him, whatever.
And do what?
And he didn't know.
But if someone's talking to you and you hit them and they didn't touch you, is that self-defense?
Well, I wait and find out.
But okay, isn't self-defense you defend yourself when they attack you?
Yeah, she went to his house.
But she didn't attack him.
Doesn't matter, went to his house.
Honestly, Fresh being the voice of reason on this podcast wasn't on my 2024/2025 bingo list. But at the end of the day, no matter how hard you try, you are not part of the team. Myron, are you really the kind of that would do anything for money? Because to me, this is just an animal that is being cornered on his last leg that would do anything to survive. And those kind of animals are the most dangerous because, like I said, they are desperate. His podcast is being cancelled, his reputation is going down the sink, and the only conceivable way out to him is diving deeper into that rabbit hole, which honestly doesn't make any sense because who would want to be associated with you? Even your co-host is disagreeing with you. He thinks that you're going too far, which honestly should make you think a little bit, but it doesn't. And although it's a good thing that Fresh finally has free will, it will only lead to division because some fans will think that he's right and Myron's going too far, and others will think that Fresh is just a snake and he's too afraid to support Myron. And if you have those kind of internal conflicts, you're bound to collapse. Business-wise, do you really think there's a company that would want to be associated with a man that sees women as slaves, that sucks up to white supremacists, that talks for the only sake of being controversial? That's why Rockstar/GTA decided to sue them for using their designs. A few years ago they didn't care, but now that this man is literally becoming psycho, they know that they can't be associated with him. And at some point, I actually think that Fresh is gonna look in the mirror and be like, I can't be with Myron anymore. Despite everything we've been through, I just can't be with a guy like that that's losing his mind. And from a viewer standpoint, how can you think that this man is gonna help you? This man hates his own self, he hates his own guts, but you think he's gonna be the key to your salvation? And just like Abba and Priest said, him saving 1,000 people from deleting themselves doesn't mean anything if behind he turns them into resentful people. He's not helping you, he's turning you into his soldier that will defend him online. If you follow this man, you're gonna be worse than the incel groups that you'll find on 4chan, and this says a lot because you can't do worse than that. There's a reason why they say your worst enemy is yourself, because this man went from having an empire to self-imploding and destroying everything he's worked for just because he thinks he's him. But bro, you would let Nick Fuentes buy you for $5, not even $1. But that'll be all for today's video, guys. Honestly, I truly think that 2025 will be the last you will ever see or hear about Fresh and Fit podcast. They are the ones to blame. But if you like my video, guys, don't hesitate to share with a friend, like, let me know what you think about the predictable collapse of the Fresh and Fit podcast. And don't hesitate to sub if you like my content. Generational rise, generational downfall, absolute cinema.